Neural networks are loosely modeled after how neurons in the human brain behave. The key advantage of neural networks are that they are able to extract data features automatically without needing the input of the programmer. To predict and to develop the model, we need data features. So once those data features are there, we will be able to generate the label. So, a neural network is essentially a system of organizing machine learning algorithms to perform certain tasks. It's a fast and efficient way to solve problems for which the data set is very large, such as in images. So, to work with deep learning, to work with neural networks, we need a large amount of data, and neural networks is a very fast and efficient way to organize to solve problems. It can work with large amount of data such as images and audio files, video files. So here we develop a system of organizing the machine learning algorithms. The machine uh, develops its own algorithm so that it is able to predict the output. See, as the data size increases, the model performance becomes constant over here, but with small neural network it improves, with medium neural network it further improves, and with the larger neural network it further improves. So with the larger neural networks, models perform better with larger amount of data, but the traditional machine learning algorithms, they stop improving after a certain time, after a saturation point. So this is how the deep learning models look like. The data gets fed into machine learning algorithms, plus there are certain hidden rules. So these are the hidden layers. This is the input layer, these are the hidden layers, and this is the output layer. Input, hidden layer, and these are the output layers. And this is how the algorithms work upon the data, and the answer gets generated. I may have one layer of hidden rules, or I might have several layers of hidden layer. Several hidden layers might be there. So a neural network is divided into multiple layers, and each layer is divided into blocks. So this is a layer and they are divided into blocks. Each node has its own task to accomplish, which is then passed to the next layer. So each of these node has its role, and then it passes to the next layer. Each is called a layer, and one among this whole is called a layer. This is one hidden layer, another hidden layer, output layer, input layer. Each is called a node. So it works, and then it passes the information to the next layer. Each node has its own task to accomplish, which is then passed to the next layer. The first layer is the input layer. The input layer is acquires the data and feeds it to the neural network. No processing occurs at the input layer. Next to it are the hidden layers. Now, the hidden layers, the entire processing happens over here. So these layers are hidden and they are not visible to the user. Each node has its own machine learning algorithms which it executes on the data received from the input layer. The processed data is then fed to the subsequent hidden layer of the network. There can be multiple hidden layers in a neural network system, and their number depends upon the complexity of the function for which the network has been configured. Also, the number of nodes in each layer can vary accordingly. So, this is the input layer. It acquires the data, passes it to hidden layer. This is a hidden layer. This is another hidden layer. The hidden layer will implement the algorithm and then pass that result to the next algorithm, and so on. There might be several hidden layers like this, depending upon how complex the problem is. And finally, what we get is the output layer. The last hidden layer passes the final process data to the output layer, which then gives it to the user as the final output. Similar to the input layer, output layer 2 does not process the data. It is only meant for user layer, interface. So the output data will not do any function. It will only uh, display the output. So there are certain features of neural network. Neural network systems, they are modeled on the human brain. They are able to automatically extract features without input from the programmer. So they can automatically detect what will be the necessary features, and each neural network node is essentially a machine learning algorithm. So every node that we see in the hidden layer is performing some machine learning algorithm, and it is useful when the data set is very large. So this is how a normal neuron looks like. There is a nucleus, there are dendrites, and there are impulses carried towards the cell body. This is the cell body, the axon, the branches of the axon, and these are the axon terminals. So every neuron has some impulses carried towards the cell body or away from the cell body. So now the axon from the neuron sends an impulse to the synapse of another neuron. So this axon of a neuron uh, sends the impulse to the synapse of the another neuron. The impulse is then sent to the cell body through dendrites. Through the dendrites, information gets passed to the cell body. Impulse is sent to the cell body, that is the nucleus. The cell body will perform an activation function on the impulse received, and then it gives to the output axon, which passes the same to the next neuron in the system. So now here the cell body will do some function and then it will pass to the next neuron. So here also some input gets received, it is processed. That is, some function is applied on it and then it gets passed to the next layer. So this is how neural networks and nervous system work. Here also the cell body performs an activation function, and then after that it passes to the next neuron. That neuron further processes it, passes to the next neuron. So the cell body performs an activation function on the impulse received and then gives it to the output axon, which passes the same to the next neuron in the system. Now, as we relate this process with an artificial neural network, we can see that the input layer gets data which is passed on to the nodes in the hidden layer. The nodes in the hidden layer will perform action on the data and pass the processed information to the next layer. In the end, the final processed data reaches the output of the system. So there is some impulse from a neuron. So axon from the neuron receives it, passes it to the synapse, the dendrite. Via the dendrite, it reaches the cell body. So basically, I'm sending the input, and there some activation function happens, and after some activation function happens, it gives me some output. So input is there. There is input, and some function is performed. It gives some output. So, which one of the following is an application of AI? One good example would be, so there is remote control drone, self driving car, self service kiosk, self watering plant system. So, one good example would be a self driving car, because uh, it learns from its experience. It's not just a set of code that is written and it does it no matter what. It learns from its experience and then it drives. So, self driving car would be an application of AI. All others are programs. This language is easy to learn and is one of the most popular language for AI today. It is Python. Not a stage in the AI project cycle. Problem scoping, data acquisition, data exploration, prototyping. The answer would be prototyping is not a stage. This field is enabling computers to identify and process images like humans do. Face recognition, model view controller, computer vision, eye and hand system. So, computer vision is one field which is enabling computers to identify images. What does NLP stand for? NLP stands for Natural Language Processing. This is a program that allows the computer to simulate conversation with a human being. So, chatbot allows the computer to simulate conversation with a human being. This is a system of program and data structures that mimics the operation of the human brain. We just now studied that neural networks mimic the operation of the human brain. Where is decision tree used? Classification, regression, clustering, dimensionality reduction. Decision tree is a classification problem. The next question is beyond the scope of the book.